What's up, True Crime World? You're here with Illuminal on the Wall. I'm Bevy.
And I'm Becky. And today's case is about a man seduced by an online vixen. And to support this relationship, he uses his family's fortune. And when given the ultimatum, her or his family, he does the unthinkable. This is the case of Chad, Margaret, and Cody Amato. Listeners' discretion is advised.
Hello to all of our LOTW friends and family who are tuning in.
Yes, hello there.
And hey, sister.
Hey, Bevy.
Today's a good day.
Yeah, we've been chatting for hours already.
Yeah, we're like, oh, maybe it's time to do that podcast thing we both like.
Oh, yeah. But, like, sometimes I think about these moments, I'm like, God damn, how lucky are we that we actually get to hang out every week and do this?
We're so lucky, honestly. I feel like this is one of the best things that we could have done. Because
Yeah.
it forced us to see each other every week.
I know, even, like, when we didn't want to.
Yeah.
But we grew from that.
No, it's just so nice to be around you.
Yes.
Week after week and have our weekly, like, catch-ups, you know?
Yeah. Like, oh my God, everyone pissed me off this week. Let me vent to you.
Oh my God, I feel better. So,
sister love.
If you guys haven't known, because we haven't said anything, but, yeah. Oh, you guys haven't known? What? No. I'm pregnant.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I'm 13 weeks and 5 days today.
Oh
And
my God.
honestly, the past 3 months have been brutal.
Yes.
I have been a shell of myself.
Very, very thin shell. Yes, it's been tough to watch.
Yeah, Becky was like, you basically have looked sick every week.
I didn't tell her because all of a sudden she like came here and she has like so much energy. She's in her second trimester. She's looking good. She's feeling even better.
Yeah.
And she has this like nice little, pregnancy glow. But I didn't want to tell her while she's in the thick of it that like actually you look kind of like a corpse.
Your skin was kind of gray.
Yeah. But my God, you look good now.
Yeah, and I feel so great. So anyone who's pregnant, when you hit 13 weeks, I wish the best for you. I think it's going to feel good.
It usually gets better.
Yeah, it usually gets better around this time. My doctor did say you'll feel good for a couple weeks and then you'll, start to feel not great. So I'm just like living for the moment, living it up, enjoying this newfound energy I have where I'm not needing to take 3-hour naps midday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pregnant. It's my first. I'm super excited. My husband and I had been trying for 3 years. So the fact that it's finally happening, we're just really excited.
Yes, you're excited. Our whole family's excited. It's the first grandchild on both sides of your family, yours and Craig's.
Exactly.
So just, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have a little true crime baby, guys. I'll maybe show you guys a picture of the babes because the 12-week ultrasound looked adorable.
Oh, yeah. I was so shocked. I know everyone who's listening who's had babes like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I've seen it a million times. But it's shocking from your very first ultrasound, like around 8 weeks?
Yeah.
How it changes to 12 where you're like, oh my God, there's a nose and there's limbs.
Yeah.
But before I was like,
and a jaw.
That's a yolk?
Yeah, you're like, that looked like a little bean.
Oh.
Actually, it was like a matter of 3 weeks. It changed so much. And I was like, no wonder I was like exhausted in those weeks.
Pure hibernation mode.
Yeah. I haven't gotten off my couch. The only thing I've done really is come here with Becky. And I would be lying if I said I didn't take naps before we podcasted some nights.
Yes.
Because, it happened. But
there was no stopping it. I just had to sit there, watch her nap.
Yeah. She took pictures of me and she's like, can I post this to our Luminal page? And I looked at it, guys.
It's adorable.
It's not adorable. My face was a rectangle. There was no separation from my chin to my neck.
She was laying at a really weird angle.
Yeah. And honestly, I knew Becky was taking the photo. I was kind of like...
Did you, though?
Yeah, I was like, I was half asleep, but I could tell when you get like really quiet. And it's like, you can just tell. And then you hear a click. And I'm like, oh, she took a picture of me. But I was fine with it. Because in my head, I was like, I am so peaceful. I probably look so cute right now. And yeah. It was just like disgusting. Like I was like, don't you dare post that. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If you post that, podcast off, friends off, sister off, done.
But like now that you mentioned it, could I post it?
No, Becky. There's a reason.
You just said you had like a triangle head or
I
a
said
rectangle head. Sorry.
No, you're not posting it. You looked adorable. But guys, you know the gist of it. I looked like a rectangle and it was awful. Anyways, moving on from that topic because truly I'm not going to give it any more, wind beneath its wings because you're not posting it. So shall we get into the case for today, Becky?
I mean, I guess so since I can't post the photo. Sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, today's case is about a man named Grant Amato. He was born on May 20th, 1989 in Orlando, Florida, to Chad Robert Amato, a clinical pharmacist, and Margaret Amato, a senior operations manager. Now, Grant grew up in Chuluota, which is a small town in Seminole County, Florida, along with his brother Cody, to whom he was particularly close with. The two brothers were only 2 years apart. They had a tight-knit relationship and often spent time together engaging in common interests. They also had an older half-brother named Jason who lived elsewhere and was not as involved in day-to-day family life. Growing up, Grant and Cody attended Timber Creek High School, where they both became interested in health and fitness, specifically weightlifting. Their shared passion for this led them to join the school's weightlifting team, where they supported each other and worked on improving their strength and physical health. After high school, both Grant and Cody enrolled at the University of Central Florida, where they pursued nursing degrees. Following their undergraduate education, they both aimed to become nurse anesthetists, a highly specialized and demanding field within nursing. The two brothers were so close that after graduation, they wanted to live together in their parents' house in Florida, while their parents would move to a retirement home they purchased in Tennessee. They also wanted to have matching cars. Although the brothers had mutual goals and dreams, there was a slight difference between the two. Cody was straight edge, did everything by the book, while Grant took an alternative path. Cody successfully graduated from his nurse anesthetist program. Grant's academic journey took a different path. He struggled, and he was kicked out of the program before completing his studies. Despite the setback, Grant managed to secure employment as a registered nurse at Advent Health Hospital. Grant's life began to unravel on June 21st, 2018. Hospital staff noticed 8 bottles of propofol, a powerful sedative, were missing from the locked cupboard, and later staff reported finding 8 empty vials of propofol in patients' rooms overseen by Grant. Now, propofol is commonly used in anesthetic procedures, but it was not prescribed or ordered for the patients in this case. Staff checked who had taken the propofol and realized it was signed out by Grant. Now, when Grant was confronted about this, he explained that he had administered the drug to the patients who, in his own personal opinion, were not being adequately relaxed during their treatments. This was also not the first time propofol had gone missing in relation to Grant. Now, during this initial questioning, hospital staff were also concerned that Grant might be suicidal due to some of his comments at the time, and because they felt he was a harm to himself, they called the police. Officers who assessed him concluded that he did not meet the criteria to be considered a danger to himself or others. Still, the more troubling allegations involved his professional conduct.
Yeah, like, why do you have so much propofol? Like, what are you doing? Isn't propofol also used, like, if you want to sedate someone really fast, like, you put it on a cloth and, like, put it in front of their face to breathe? Is that not a thing? Like, in the murder cases where they want to subdue somebody really quick, they can put a cloth over their face and they breathe in, like, fumes. Is that propofol?
I think that's chloroform.
We should have known from that one case. Remember, like, a tea of chloroform?
Right? You should have known about.
I should have known.
So, no, but I think it has a similar effect.
Yeah, it's still fucked up, right?
Yeah. And I mean, like, if he had finished his that is a tough word, okay?
Yeah, I gotta say, you've done it pretty well the first couple times you said it, but every time you're about to say it, my heart stopped.
Like,
I was
is she gonna fuck it up again? No. So anyways, you know what I'm talking about. If he had finished his schooling for that, he could have the power to be like, this is how much is needed, this would help them, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
he's definitely outside his scope on this one, and that's a big
100%.
no-no.
Yeah, in any profession, in any realm, no.
Yeah, you stay within the scope
Stay
of
in your
your
lane.
education, of your, role, what have you.
Exactly. So this self-initiated action, which violated, as we said, hospital-like protocol, and wasn't moral, wasn't ethical, was a significant breach of professional ethics. As a result, the hospital terminated his employment, and the hospital also pressed charges, and Grant Amato was arrested on grand larceny related to the theft of propofol, which, to be honest, is, as a massage therapist myself, I never want to get sued or lose my license because of like improper care, anything like that. So I think as a professional, I think grand larceny would actually be an easier pill to swallow
Than harm to your client.
Yeah,
which honestly,
be negligent.
I think he is probably a little bit responsible for both. So
Yeah.
I feel like he almost lucked out on grand larceny. Yeah.
Yeah, dodged a little bit of a bullet.
Yeah.
But
he's.
Hello, my name is Kristen Rigadel, and I'm a licensed insurance broker across Canada and in the United States. But I want to ask you a question. Is life super predictable? No, there's always going to be curveballs in life, but there's two things that I can guarantee you. One, we're all going to have to pay taxes, and two, we're all going to die. I know, it's morbid, right? But it's true. And that's where life insurance comes in. Life insurance is a selfless act. At the end of the day, it's meant for your loved ones in the event you were to pass away unexpectedly. And not that money can ever replace us, but I always liked the idea of leaving some money behind for my brothers, whether that be for their college education, or a down payment on a house, or even just time off of work to grieve. Because the last thing I would want for my family is to have to go to work and pay the bills while they're grieving. And so life insurance gives you the peace of mind that no matter when you pass away, your loved ones are taken care of. With flexible plans, affordable premiums, and coverage that fits your unique needs, I do the shopping around for you so that you can get the protection without the hassle. Because taking care of your future doesn't have to be complicated. If you'd like to discuss options, you can send me an email at krigadel15lrxc@wfgmail.ca or give me a phone call at 403-785-7670 to learn more and get a free quote today so you can live tomorrow with peace of mind.
Also now ruined his career, right? What career he had, he's ruined it.
yeah, good luck getting a nursing job anywhere else.
Yeah, now he's unemployed.
Oh, you stole drugs even?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's bad.
Bad.
So now Grant is unemployed.
Yep.
He's estranged from his professional career, and he's waiting to find out the outcome of his grand larceny charge, which I think would be a really stressful time in your life.
Yeah.
Because you have this great education, and now you're like, oh, I could probably maybe only go work at a liquor store.
Yeah.
And even then, would they be concerned I would steal that? So who knows what kind of job you get.
Yeah, he's probably shitting his pants.
Yeah. So while waiting for this outcome, Grant becomes heavily involved with the online world. He watches a bunch of porn, he's gaming on Twitch all the time, and he spends a lot of time on top of that watching live feeds of God knows what. At one point, he had confessed that his new goal was to become a professional online Twitch streamer. So his parents were like, hey, he's found something. Let's support it. They paid for all the equipment and streaming setup so that he could be as successful as possible. Now, initially, this plan didn't seem so bad until Margaret and Chad started to notice large sums of money missing from their bank accounts, as well as large, frequent charges to their credit cards from internet sites that they had never visited, and they had no idea what they were.
So Grant is continuing his thefty ways.
It would appear so. So they confront Grant about it. They ask him what's going on. And Grant tells them he used the money to promote himself on Twitch, but that was a lie. Grant was actually using the money on his new virtual relationship with a cam girl from Bulgaria named Sylvia Ventislavova. And I will apologize if I got that wrong, but that was my best effort. Now, she went by the alias Sylvie or Addie Sweet online. Grant had become completely obsessed with her.
Do you love true crime and travel? Having traveled the world solo the last couple of years and being obsessed with true crime, I found myself researching others who took the same vacations but never made it home. The Last Trip is a true crime podcast covering missing and murdered people that were living their best lives on vacation. I'm your host, Jamie Bevy, and each week I'll bring you on The Last Trip, taking a deep dive into vacation culture and travel spots, tips on staying alive while traveling, and ultimately recreating someone's last days in paradise. What led to their last trip? What are the hard facts? What is the final outcome? And could you be next? David Snedden was a 24-year-old college student from Utah attending Mandarin classes in Beijing when he mysteriously disappeared while hiking Tiger Leaping Gorge. Chinese authorities said he drowned in the gorge, and U.S. authorities agreed, although his body was never found and his parents didn't believe that. 7 years later, out of the blue, they got a phone call from a former U.S. official who had evidence David is still alive. This case sounds like a Hollywood movie, but evidence doesn't lie. So where is David Snedden? Famous rugby player and Celebrity X Factor contestant Levi Davis went missing in Barcelona last year while on a backpacking trip through Europe. Just days before he vanished, he posted a 15-minute video to his Instagram account saying his life was in danger and people were after him. After he disappeared, several theories emerged. But what really happened to Levi Davis? Join me, Jamie Bevy, co-host of the popular true crime series Strictly Stalking, as I embark on a brand new adventure combining true crime and travel. Listen to The Last Trip wherever you get your podcasts.
And how Sylvie's site worked was based on a token system. Men, or whoever would want to see her, would buy tokens to pay her to perform. They would also use tokens to tip her. Now, Sylvie's rate was 90 tokens per minute. Grant would buy 5,000 tokens to start off every evening, and that would run him about $600.
Holy shit. Sorry, I just have to say, that's expensive.
It is expensive, right?
Yeah, like especially when you say 90 tokens per minute.
Yeah.
Plus tip. That's crazy.
It is crazy, right?
Yeah.
So keep in mind, 5,000 tokens is only 56 minutes. And it was estimated that Grant would spend about 4 hours watching Sylvie and chatting with her every day. So if 5,000 tokens was only 56 minutes and he was spending about 4 hours, that would cost him approximately $2,400 a day. And that would mean it's $72,000 a month.
Holy crap, Beck.
Yes. So I'm not saying that he necessarily is spending $72,000 every month, but
Even if it was 1 month, even if it was half that cost,
right?
like that's a full year's salary for
A lot of people.
or 2 years salary for people. Like, the fuck?
I know.
Grant,
It's-
no woman is worth that. I gotta say.
Yeah. And to also think about it, he's unemployed.
Yeah.
Like, he has no
He's
money
charging
coming
his
in.
parents.
Yeah. For his online sexcapades.
Dang.
Right? So on top of spending money on these tokens, he is also buying her clothes, sex toys, and like flowers and gifts. And he would watch her model them on screen.
So it's more money than even what you quoted, basically. There's extra costs associated with this.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure some days are a little less, some are a little more, you know? So this is just my general calculations
No,
myself.
it's a good one. It's good to put it in perspective. Like, he's going wild with this.
Yes, he is. So now, being a top client, Sylvie began chatting and sometimes texting with Grant on top of his viewing. So he's getting kind of like a full emotional relationship kind of connection.
Yeah, as you said, he's like obsessed with her at this point.
Yeah. And so, unfortunately, over time, Grant began falling in love with her. Now, this was obviously very one-sided because this is her job. This is how she makes money.
Yeah, she's getting paid bank.
Also, I just like thought about this.
Yeah.
This girl probably lives a very lavish lifestyle
Yeah.
because if this is one person
Think of how many people in the world.
are doing that,
Yeah.
you know? So like, she's probably making so much money. Like, I say all the power to you, but Grant, you went overboard.
Yeah.
Just saying. Now, Grant became so in love with Sylvie, he would get the money from anywhere just to have his fix. Not only had Grant found love, but he had also found acceptance within this online community. So this site, it wasn't just access to Sylvie. It was like other people that liked her, and I assume some other women too on there.
Yeah.
So they would all talk when they weren't talking to her, stuff like that. So it was a nice community, and we know that community really builds you up, makes you feel confident, keeps you coming back. It's like great for workouts, but not online porn.
Sexcapades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, on this website, he pretended to have it all. His narrative was that he was a super successful gamer with lots of money and lots of things. I can imagine at that point in time, Bev, he felt pretty on top of the world. He's like, I got an awesome girl, got a fake identity.
Yeah.
People love me, I'm happy.
Yeah, he's got this false facade, but he's loving every minute of it.
Exactly. So when Grant's parents catch on, and he kind of tells them, right, they would not give him any more money. And so Grant continued to steal money and rack up more credit cards debt from his other family members. This included his brother, and as we know, they're super close, and he's willing to, betray his brother. Now, money wasn't always accessible to Grant, and in those moments, he would steal items from friends and family to sell for money, again, to talk to Sylvie. He even stole a bunch of Cody's guns. He also took out a $65,000 loan with his parents' house as collateral. So that means if he doesn't pay it back, their house is on the line.
Okay. I do have one question about that. Wouldn't you need their consent to, do that, though?
That's a very good question. I honestly have no idea how that would work, but
he made it happen.
And
that's a scary situation to be in. It's kind of crazy because this is all the markings of someone with a severe addiction, right? This is what people who are addicted to something do to get their fix. It's he's totally addicted to Sylvie, the site, this facade he has going on, and he's really willing to do whatever it takes and hurt whoever. That's a scary person.
His closest people, he's willing to do that to. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So by this point, Grant has stolen around $210,000 from his parents and brother. And they're pretty pissed. They confront Grant, and he 100% comes clean about Sylvie. Now, Chad, Margaret, and Cody realize Grant is suffering, as you said, Bev, with an addiction to this woman. The Amatos are very concerned for Grant, but supportive at the same time. They love him,
Yeah.
And after coming clean in late 2018, Grant seemed to be recovering and thinking about a different future and how he can make it up to his family. Around that same time, Advent Health even decided to drop the grand larceny charges against Grant. All in all, things are looking up. Cody and Grant even start reconnecting. They plan a trip to Japan together with a friend. At that time, Grant still didn't have any money of his own, so Cody, being clearly a very awesome brother, even funds his trip. When they returned, Chad was on Grant about getting a job. He didn't want his 30-year-old son lazing around all day. And I'm sure they must have been worried that with nothing to work towards and having nothing but time on his hands, that it would only be a matter of time before he was compelled to start chatting with Sylvie again. Now, the family had been attending family counseling where Grant had admitted that he was severely depressed and felt worthless, which I can imagine it being very hard, especially in that scenario, then to know that something that made him felt so great to be taken, he wasn't allowed to do it.
Yeah.
That must be really hard, right?
It would be hard, but at the same time necessary.
It's an addiction. Surely there must be other things.
Yeah, I can see why he would feel depressed and worthless. A lot of things were taken from him.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is where people are made, in the thick of it. When you're going through hard times, it's how you come out of it, or how you work through it, I should say, that makes you who you are. And I'm hoping that, he comes on top and, gets things sorted. But I just have this feeling, probably with no evidence to back it up, none at all, not that we're doing a true crime podcast, that it doesn't go in that direction.
Well, I won't sugarcoat it. It doesn't go in that direction, but we'll find out how. So even though they're taking all these strides to move Grant forward, and even the family, right?
Yes.
On December 19th, the tension between Chad and Grant came to a head, and Grant stormed out of the house. Cody and Margaret were really worried about Grant's mental health and safety. So when he didn't come home that night, they filed a missing person report. Grant had been in communication with his brother and mom via text, but he told them he was tired of everything and wanted to handle it his own way, which
That's a scary thing for someone to say when they've admittedly said they feel worthless, you know?
For sure. And he's also proven like he's not making good decisions, unpredictable, not the best thought out. So
Yeah.
I can understand why they would be worried, for sure. Margaret and Cody thought he may try to harm himself, but the following day, Grant's car was found, and officers were able to locate Grant. And after speaking with him, they could deduce that he was all right and was no harm to himself. He told officers he just needed some space from his family. And after all of this, Grant had turned up at his Aunt Donna's home. She was more than willing to let him stay there for a couple nights to recoup and get his mind straight. However, it wasn't long before Aunt Donna started noticing huge charges to her credit card, with no idea what they were for. So Donna decided to reach out to Cody. He was absolutely mortified with what his brother had done, but he wanted to protect him and asked Donna not to press charges. He told her he would cover all the charges himself. Like, Bev, no offense, I would never do that for you.
No.
I'd be like, float on your own, bitch.
Yeah, I'd be like, that's a shitty decision. I'm not going to suffer as a result of your crappy decision. And we haven't said it, but obviously this is super concerning because he's reverted back to his old ways and he's harmed another family member in the process. So
Yeah, and like, keep in
space
mind,
from family means like, I do what I want, bitch.
yeah, don't call me. Like, one thing to keep in mind, Aunt Donna, she's not young,
Yeah,
right?
this is going to be like,
She's close to retirement. This is the last thing she needs is someone just fucking with her money.
that's the last thing any retiree needs, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not fair for anyone, but especially close to retirement.
Yeah, you have no ability to change it, right?
Yeah.
You're like, no, this is the money I had set aside.
Yeah.
This is all I got.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
shit.
And Donna even mentioned to Cody that if the money didn't get paid back, like just in the odd chance that he didn't, she was going to have to work past her retirement to
make
make
it
that
up.
money up. Like, that's how much he took. I don't know the exact amount, but it was obviously very significant. Now, Cody's offer was really enticing to Donna, but she wasn't fully convinced. So Chad called her and he breaks down. He essentially begs her not to press charges as well. He tells her the whole truth about what Grant and the family have been going through. He told her that him and Margaret had to refinance their home to cover money taken from them by Grant. And so hesitantly, Donna agrees not to call the cops. She felt sympathy to her family and all the stress everyone had been under, and she didn't want to add to it. Chad had also confided in Donna he had even taken on a second job to help pay off his son's debts. So even though Chad and Corey had begged Donna not to press charges, they realized that Grant crossed the line. It was one thing for him to steal money from his immediate family, but to take from someone outside their circle was completely unacceptable. And on December 22nd, the family held an intervention at Donna's place. They wanted him to take responsibility for his actions and crimes, and they wanted him to go to rehab for a 60-day stint. They were so serious about it that Cody, again, offered to front $15,000 to pay for rehab, as well as he would pay $8,000 towards Grant's outstanding attorney fees. Now, Grant agreed, and he was checked into the facility in South Florida to address his addiction to sex and pornography. But he did not stay long, and on January 5th, Grant checked himself out of rehab. He had been there less than 2 weeks. When Grant left treatment early, he came back home. His family was hella disappointed, but was willing to forgive him for his shisty ways. They would even deal with the loan against the house, but this was all conditional. The Amatos took Grant out for dinner in a public space to outline their expectations. His father, Chad, made it very clear that there were going to be rules, and if he were to break those rules, he would be kicked out and left to deal with the consequences of just himself. Some of these conditions were really simple, like get a job during the day, discontinue internet usage after midnight, start paying for your own cell phone, Grant. And he also had to develop a plan to pay back stolen money to his family members. He had to go to regular therapy and apologize to all the people he wronged and stole from. And the biggest one, he had to cut off all ties with Sylvie immediately. They believed that Grant was choosing to ruin his family relationships over a complete stranger. They were not going to let Grant abuse the relationship any longer. They also gave him a nice, very thorough explanation as to why they put these rules in place. During this family meeting, Grant agreed to all of their terms. Everyone was ecstatic, thinking this was a new beginning for the Amato family, and with a little time and effort, they would all be back on course. But Grant saw the whole thing differently than the rest of his family. He resented the rules, and despite his promises, he was still infatuated with Sylvie. He began writing messages to his online friends complaining, and I quote, "My father is controlling and abusive. My mother is simply around for the security, and my brother is also controlling and does not understand how I could care for someone as much as I care for Sylvie." He also wrote, "Everyone, I ask for your forgiveness regarding my stupidity. I will never be able to forgive myself for making Sylvie sad and betraying her trust in me. Despite the many things I have tried to currently emphasize to her, I care for her deeply and wish for an actual second chance with her and this room. I think it's safe to say by now, everyone knows I made a drastic mistake with Sylvie. I upset her, made her very sad, and ruined the end of December and beginning of January for her." He also adds, "I am unable to function normally without her, and I will never get over her."
Wow, like everything he's saying to her is everything he should be saying to his family.
Right? And you know what? Because he's cut off from Sylvie. He has no money. So he's actually saying that to the group on that website.
Right.
So you can really see how deep he is in with Sylvie.
100%. He's in love with her. But it's just really sad. He's just like, his feelings are so misplaced. That's totally how he should feel about making his dad work a second job, almost ruining his Aunt Donna's retirement, forcing his brother to pay for all of his like mistakes. Like he should say those things to his family.
Yeah.
Like, why do you care more about someone that you met online than your own family? But I don't know. I think sometimes when you fall in love with like an online presence, it's like pretty easy to do. Like, we've seen the people who get on Dr. Phil, you know, the people that kind of get all their money stolen from like an online person that's literally not real.
Yeah.
It's almost like that person doesn't actually have to be around them. Like, they can just say all the niceties, say all the good things to make them feel good. So they just like hold on to that, right?
For sure.
As opposed to like what's real.
Yeah, and we know like he's depressed, he's feeling a little worthless, like to hold on to something that makes him feel so good.
Yeah.
It could be so easy, right?
Yeah.
So, poor family, poor Grant. It's just a shitty situation to be in, right?
Absolutely.
Eey. Well, Bev, things take a drastic turn, and on the morning of January 25th, 2019, just after 9 a.m., a man named Craig Sisko, an employee at Advent Health, became alarmed when his coworker Cody Amato failed to show up for his shift. Now, Cody was reliable, and after several calls to his phone went unanswered, this prompted Sisko to contact the Seminole County Sheriff's Office for a welfare check. Deputies soon arrive at the Amato residence. When they pull up, they see Cody's car in the driveway. They notice Margaret and Chad's vehicles parked inside the garage. Everything outside looked undisturbed. The officers knocked on the front door, and when they didn't answer, they called each of the family members' cell phones. But there was still no response. At that point, they opted to using an air horn as a last-ditch attempt to get someone's attention from inside. Still no answer, so they decided to investigate further. They head to the back of the house, and with a knife, they managed to manipulate the deadbolt and unlock the door and get inside. As the deputies entered the house, they were immediately met with a gruesome scene. Chad Amato was found lying on his back in the kitchen. He had been shot twice in the head. They noticed Chad had a gun still holstered to his waist. He had made no attempts to use it. Moving through the house, they then find Cody's lifeless body in the mudroom adjacent to the garage. He was curled up in a fetal position, wearing his green medical scrubs. He had been shot in the face, and there was a handgun laying near him. Lastly, Margaret was found slumped over her desk in the office, shot in the back of the head, while what appeared to be working on the computer. Initially, investigators wondered if this was a murder-suicide, given that Chad had a gun on him and another weapon was found near Cody. However, forensic analysis soon shattered this theory. Chad had been shot execution style while standing in the kitchen, and a second time while laying on the floor. Margaret had been similarly executed at her desk, and Cody had barely entered the house when he was shot in the face. So he literally was walking through the door and bam, right then. The scene was perplexing. There was no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared to have been taken. But authorities knew something else was missing, and that was Grant Amato.
The only surviving family member.
Yes. If you can remember, the police had been called to the residence about a month or two prior dealing with Grant's mental health when he was
MIA.
Yeah.
Or went to his Aunt Donna's house.
Exactly.
Stormed out after a altercation with Chad.
Yes. So they knew the youngest sibling and his car were MIA, and they issued a bolo, be on the lookout. They did this because they didn't know if Grant was in harm's way himself, if he had something to do with this. They just had no clue, so they need to find him right away. Now, thanks to the toll transponder, which, do you know what that is, Bev?
I want to know, but I don't know.
I want to know. Well, it's just like a little device that people put in their cars so that they can go through toll booths like quick and seamlessly, and it charges every time they go through. So Grant has one, and detectives were slightly able to track his movements. He had passed through 2 toll booths early that day. In the morning, he was heading east and then west later on. As they dug deeper, the picture of the Amato family's recent struggles began to emerge. Now, they got hold of a woman named Sloan Young, who is Cody's girlfriend. She informed the detectives about Grant's disturbing behavior in the weeks leading up to the murders. Cody had even expressed fears that his brother might kill their family. Just days before, on January 24th, Cody had left work after receiving a call from his father, Chad. Cody had described the situation to Sloan as stupid fucking bullshit, though later texted her saying everything was fine and that she didn't need to worry. This would be the last time Sloan heard from Cody, though. When detectives speak with the eldest Amato sibling, their half-brother Jason...
Oh, right. I forgot they had the half-brother Jason.
Yeah, he's kind of not a big part of the story because he doesn't live with them. He's a little bit older as well, so...
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways, he corroborates Sloan's story, and he explains the tensions between the family and Grant, particularly around his obsession with the Bulgarian webcam model, Sylvie. He explained that she had been the center of their family conflicts. He also told them that Grant had drained over $200,000 of family money to fund this online relationship with Sylvie. He explained even after his parents sent him to rehab and gave him this pretty harsh ultimatum, Sylvie or the family, Grant refused to let go of that relationship. Detectives also began to wonder if Sylvie might somehow be involved in these killings because she knew the Amato's address. Her and Grant would send letters back and forth, right? So
interesting.
Could she be involved? They can't find Grant. But not long after, Grant's car was spotted outside the Doubletree Hotel in Orlando the following day. So they didn't have to wonder for long, Bev. Detectives quickly descend upon that location. Grant had checked in on January 25th, just after 2:30 p.m., and as detectives are questioning the hotel staff, I kid you not, Grant walks out of his hotel room, right basically to the hands of these officers. He agreed to accompany them to the station for questioning. During the interview, Grant admitted to building this romantic relationship with Sylvie over the past 6 months. He, in fact, described her as his girlfriend. He claimed that on January 24th, a fight had erupted between him and his father after Chad had discovered that he was still speaking to Sylvie and sending her money. Chad had grabbed Grant by the shirt, demanding that he leave the house. According to Grant, while driving away, he ran into his brother, Cody, who said he would smooth everything over with his parents, and he told Grant to return later after things had calmed down. You know, Bev, what are your thoughts on that?
Bullshit.
I knew you were going to say that.
But at the same time, it's kind of odd how he describes it because it kind of matches like the scene at the crime. Just a little bit. Like, you know, first it's Chad, then his brother comes in. I'm just like, I feel like there's a slight bit of truth to that, but also a complete lie, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think the chances are of him being angry, driving off being, angry, like I just said? But running into his brother, who's like, oh, don't worry about it, man. Like, I'm going to go smooth things out with mom and dad.
No, Cody's pissed at him at this point, right? Like, Grant's resentful to his family.
Yes.
So, no, I don't think this is true at all. Like, no. I think the chances are, Grant, you murdered your family to kind of get them to go away. So you could continue a relationship with Sylvie in peace.
With their money, maybe.
Yeah, or that.
Oh.
Or that, Becky. Or that.
Well, Bev, it is bullshit, and the detectives know it because Cody had been at work during that time that Grant claimed they spoke. So, they just straight up tell Grant, we know he wasn't there. And Grant's like, oh, yeah, of course. I'm going to change my story now. He said then he waited till Cody got home that night and then left the house. And he assumed Cody would smooth things over with his parents and he would return the following day and all would be back to normal. He said he spent the night in his car in a parking lot and started heading back home the next morning. But he changed his mind at the last minute and he turned around and left.
Just so happens that as his family are laying dead in their home, he just goes there, decides to leave, sleeps in a parking lot, somehow avoids the whole murder scene,
Yeah, like his timing is either impeccable or, again, he's lying.
Yeah.
So police are, they're kind of feeling the same way we are, Bev. And they ask if he had seen anything unusual or suspicious in that brief moment he was there. And Grant said, no, I didn't see anything. So when detectives pointed out that the neighborhood had been swarming with police and news crew, making it impossible to miss, Grant backtracked again, saying he had turned around because of all the commotion. I mean, that's logical for sure.
If you had said it initially, maybe, yeah.
Throughout hours of interrogation, Grant never once asked what happened to his family. Instead, when detectives showed him photos of their bodies, he simply just covered his face and said, I didn't do that. He rambled about always being blamed for things and accused Cody of orchestrating a murder-suicide. But detectives weren't buying it. To drive the point home, they brought in Jason, again, half-brother. In a heart-wrenching moment, Jason asked Grant directly if he had killed their family. Grant denied it, but Jason could see through his lies. He says to Grant, they didn't deserve this. And regardless of any emotions, they were good people. Grant's response, I know. They showed it by protecting me. It was a real eerie moment of shocking self-awareness. Grant completely understood that his family had only ever tried to help him, yet he killed them, Could you imagine that, Bev?
No, that's just somebody who seems very evil and selfish, honestly. Yeah, I know they helped me, but they were just, in my way.
Yeah.
Even though he hasn't admitted to it, we know what happened.
Yeah, we know.
We know. So, yeah, that's really sad to me.
For sure. And I think when I read that, what really got me there is the whole time I was kind of under the impression that he was a little delusional with what his family was trying to accomplish. I kind of thought that. And then when you hear that, you're like, oh no.
You knew.
You are just an evil prick.
Yeah.
And you just killed them so you could talk to your girlfriend online.
Yes. With no consequence and no, mirror to your action.
Yeah. So I was kind of, like I said, I was just under the impression he wasn't aware of their efforts.
Yeah, which would kind of slightly make it better in a way. Not really, but if you're just so under the impression they're just ruining your life, maybe you could kind of at least try to see it through his eyes, why he did what he did. But when you're nah.
You knew what you were doing.
You knew.
Yeah, you're damn.
Yeah.
This is the next level evil.
Yeah.
Than what we already thought. Now, the final nail in the coffin came when investigators found credit cards belonging to Chad and Cody in Grant's hotel room. So he literally
stole from them
after they were dead.
Disgusting.
It is. You rob a dead man and woman.
Your family that you just killed. Yeah, exactly. Terrible.
So within their investigation, they also find similar evidence in his bedroom at the Amato home. And that's including photos of credit card numbers belonging to Donna and her husband. So the depths of his stealing
were far beyond what anyone thought.
Yeah, exactly. He kept it in his back pocket to be like, I'll save this for when I don't have other funds or can't get it through my family, right? They also found hundreds, if not thousands, of photos, videos, and screenshots of Sylvie. And they found all of their texted and typed conversations. Eventually, they were able to confirm the murder weapon. It was a IWI Jericho 941 pistol, which to me, honestly, that means virtually nothing other than it is a gun.
Right.
And this gun belonged to Blake Turpin, which is a name we have not mentioned before, but it is Grant's best friend. When he spoke with detectives, he told them he realized his gun was missing from his home a few weeks before the murders. He had not related this to Grant, but he remembered around the same time his gun was taken, he had left Grant in his room alone for about 10 minutes, and that is where the gun was stored. And when he learned that the Amatos had been killed, he kind of put two and two together. Imagine using your best friend, his weapon, to kill your family.
Yeah, it's like
he's close with the family. You know, when you have a best friend, they know your family too.
Yeah, no doubt. And honestly, at the end of the day, that murder weapon would have been registered to his best friend. So if the family murders hadn't been so blatantly obvious that it was Grant, like, you're kind of putting your friend at risk.
For sure.
As well. And also, Becky, if this was weeks prior, like, this was a very thought out, planned.
Yes. It wasn't just
ordeal.
like, you know, a heat of the moment.
No, like he tried to allude to that they had this argument that night, whatever. No.
Mm-hmm.
He had been planning this.
He had been. So, I mean, as clear as it is to us, it was this clear to the detectives too. And Grant Amato was arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. His first bond hearing was on March 27th, 2019. His defense attorney argued that there was no physical evidence linking him to the crime scene. He claimed that any evidence found in the house could easily be explained by the fact that Grant had lived in the house and that his fingerprints, his DNA, all over. It was their family home. He had years of that accumulating, you know?
Sure, and if there wasn't such a blatant motive, I mean, maybe that might work, but there is.
Exactly. So despite their arguments, the judge denied bond. But a month later, another hearing resulted in a $750,000 bond with strict conditions. And those were that Grant has to pay 10% of the bond and had to wear a GPS monitor and was not allowed to use the internet at all. Grant tried to use his family's life insurance policies to cover his portion of the bond, but because he had been charged with their murders at that point, he was ineligible to collect their life insurance, as we see all the time, and I love that rule. He also was not allowed to use his family estate's money to pay for this either. So with no way to pay his percentage of the bond, Grant remained in jail, where he maintained his innocence. Shockingly though, Bev, Grant seemed pretty unfazed by his circumstances. He even wrote a letter to his cellmate's girlfriend describing how he and Sylvie were now somewhat celebrities and fantasized about taking a cruise with her once the whole, in quotes, jail thing was over. Like, I sit here and I'm like, did he actually think that he would be out of jail anytime soon?
Obviously.
Was he really confident about that, or just delusional?
He's just stupid. He's living in a delusional world where he thinks him and Sylvie will run off into the sunset and he won't be held responsible for any of his actions ever and has no remorse for them at all.
Yes,
like,
we'll go and enjoy a maybe Disney cruise or some shit like that.
And like, to even say we're somewhat celebrities, like, I really dislike that. It's really sad when you hear him say these things and then you pair it with how his family treated him. Like, tough love, but like so much love. Mm-hmm. It's hard to accept. And yeah, that's crap.
That is crap. You're right. So as we know, Grant obviously goes to trial. And the prosecution's case was very clear that Grant had chosen Sylvie over his family. And when faced with the ultimatum, he murdered them to access their money and continue his relationship with her. They revealed that just hours after killing his family, Grant tried to log back onto the campsite to reconnect with Sylvie, hence the stolen credit cards in the hotel room. But it was like his first thing he did. Like, yeah. Come on, dude. On July 31st, 2019, after more than 8 hours of deliberation, the jury found Grant Amato guilty of all 3 charges. And on August 12th, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Grant's defense attorney said in an interview, "I consider life in prison a huge victory because it could have been death." But he had never been around a defendant with such a lack of emotion when so much is on the line and it's your life. There was no breakdown crying. There was no turning or hugging me because I saved his life. It was just standing there, straight-faced, no emotion.
Yeah, his actions throughout the trial and even as he's talking to detectives, his half-brother, Jason, that too is very clear that he had no emotion about it. There was no regret.
No
Nothing.
remorse.
Mm-hmm.
No, like, guilt about how he affected so many people's lives financially with the murders. Like, literally absolutely nothing.
No.
In 2019, Grant filed an appeal, but in 2021, the courts upheld his conviction, leaving him to serve out the rest of his life behind bars.
Yeah, and I honestly wish he could live till he was 200 and continue to face that, because he took 3 lives. Like, I just feel like a lifetime behind bars is not enough for Grant, truly. What he did is appalling.
Disgusting.
Like, disgusting, truly. And all for Sylvie, a woman he had literally never met face to face. And she's continuing on probably other relationships with other men, making bank. And he's rotten in jail for the rest of his life because he thought he would drive off to the sunset with her.
Yeah, completely irrational.
Terrible.
Like, surely, okay, this is what is interesting to me, that he thinks it's like a real relationship. He's logging onto this website knowing, like, he's an adult, full well knowing that he's paying for this service. He's paying to see her naked. He's paying to see her do whatever she is doing. And that surely any intellectual person knows that she's doing that with any other client.
Yes.
Or customer, whatever.
And it's also, like, partly her job to make the people that she speaks to kind of fall for her, right? The more deep they are in this, I say in air quotes, relationship they are, the more money she will make. Like, that benefits her. But it does not benefit you. And I will say, just as like a warning to everyone who uses the internet and uses these services, like, if people are taking your money, or if you're in an online relationship and people are requesting large sums of money from you, like, do not do it. It is a scam. Stop while you're ahead. Don't waste millions of dollars paying to people that could give a fuck less about you. Like, just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't.
You never know.
Do it.
It might land you behind bars.
Yeah, it might land bars, that's for sure. And you don't want to be the easy manipulated person that commits a crime for someone who's just going to go make money from the next Joe Blow.
Preach.
Ain't that right, Becky?
Ain't that right, Becky? Yes. Good job.
So, anyways, Bev, that is the story of Grant Amato and how he brutally slayed his entire family, pretty much. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing. And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.